This is the American Arson podcast, where our goal is to spark creativity. Whether you're a musician, an artist, a writer, or an entrepreneur, we're here to provide you with tools, tips, and insight from professionals and creatives that you can use to inform and inspire your own journey.
All right, hey guys, so this week we have Shaun from Dens on with us to talk about some things they have coming up and some of the adventures he's been on in their creative process.
Yeah, this is a really fun one. And if you guys are fans of Dens, you'll definitely want to stay tuned. Towards the end of the episode, we have a little bit of a surprise for you. But really, really fun dive into their creative process. Is one of the more unique creative processes that we've had an opportunity to take a look at so far. And we also kind of expanded the crazy tour story element this time to include a crazy day job story that you guys are definitely not going to want to miss. So yeah, this is a super fun episode.
Yeah, absolutely. You stick around for those stories because it gets pretty wild. But as usual, the links to all of Den's socials are going to be below, where you can find their latest music. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook and all of that good stuff. As well as, if you aren't already, make sure to go below this video if you're watching on YouTube and hit like and subscribe, so we can see what kind of content you guys are liking. And if you're just listening on another platform, go ahead and follow that podcast, because we got some cool stuff coming up for you in the future. And never hesitate to comment and let us know who you'd like to see us talk to. But yeah, on that note, here's Shaun from Dens.
All right, Shaun, thank you for being with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Not too bad. Did you guys get a little taste of Michigan winter the way that the whole rest of the country just did, or did you get spared from that?
So it's not like Texas in the Midwest.
Okay.
So
okay.
We really weren't like below. We really weren't in the teens. But
okay. So
we had our first ice storm since like 1998.
Wow.
Which I remember the 1998 one. That was the one. It was like it went out Christmas Eve. All the power went out Christmas Eve. So my entire family went over to my grandparents' house because they were the only ones with like a wood burning stove.
Okay.
We did Christmas over there. So it was cool. It was memorable.
Yeah. That's a cool memory.
You know, we've had some snow, some blizzards, but past couple winters haven't really been that bad.
Yeah. I remember when I was in a former band. So this would have probably been, I want to say this was 2000. I think this was 2012 that this happened. We booked a show in the general Richmond area, and the guy said he had basically like a large shed in the backyard that he did shows in, and it was January. And so we were booking it obviously like 4 or 5 months in advance. And he was like, yeah, I got this shed and we do shows. It's awesome. And I asked him, I was like, that's January. Like, are you sure it's going to be all right? And he was like, no, it's cool, man. It's Virginia. It's not Michigan. Like, it's fine. Like, it'll be a little chilly, but we get some people in there. We'll pack them in, you get that body heat going, and it'll be totally fine. And then sure enough, we show up and it's like 18 degrees. And he was like, dude, this is the coldest it's been in like, I don't know, 4 years or 5 years or whatever it was. It's like, this is the coldest night of the year. And so I have a picture of me playing that show with my coat on and my hood up. And I just remember my fingers being like just so stiff that I could barely play. And actually the shed was so small that our merch girl who's running our merch had to sit outside because that was the only place to set up a merch table. So yeah, we know Virginia can get a little bit nippy, but yeah, glad to hear you guys don't have pipes bursting and stuff.
It can be hotter than Florida in the summer.
Yeah.
And crazy humid, and then cold as the North Pole sometimes.
Right.
It can get cold, but it's just nuts because then it'll be like 50 degrees the next day.
Yeah.
So we were I was in Lithuania one time, which is like one of the Baltics over there. Mm-hmm. And, it was warm and it felt like spring. And then all of a sudden, like they had these crazy storms. This crazy storm came in, and like the wind, like it just like took all the trees sideways it was hail. I was like, this is gonna be a tornado. And then it got like super cold, and it was all within like the span of like an hour. And then it warmed back up, and I was like, dude, I could not do this. Plus, it was like it got like dark. Well, no, there was like not. They have like in certain times of year like not a lot of daylight.
Okay.
In the daytime, and then at night it's like the sun goes down at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night and rises at like 4 a.m.
Oh, are they like right on the edge of a time zone or something, or is that?
I guess I don't know. I don't do science like that, but I guess it's just like the way the tilt of the Earth and
Okay, it's that
seas.
See, the Earth doing the old Lithuanian rockaway. This kind
yeah,
well,
I mean, I guess it's like places like places like Alaska or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I didn't realize it was like I don't know. Alaska gets that because of north or whatever. So
yeah, I'm like, hey, why isn't this like on Virginia time here?
Right.
Like the sun rises at like 6:30 and it goes down at like 7 or 8 or 9.
Right. There's people. There's like people who have taken like a 9th grade earth science class who are like screaming at the podcast right now, like, you idiots! Yeah. It's clearly because of the Coriolis effect. I think that's a thing.
I was in Christian's private school for 9th grade, so we didn't have any of that. It was like God created when He created day and night. It was 6 p.m. and 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And that was it.
So did you guys just study For Today lyrics? Basically, did you have a class where you just studied For Today lyrics?
I don't even remember high school. Yeah. No, I should have brought For Today lyrics in there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is very biblical." And then like, okay, let's hear it in the context.
Right.
This is satanic.
It's one of the lost books. So I found it. Some shepherd boy threw a rock up into a cave in Israel, and they found it in the Dead Sea Scrolls or something like that. For Today was in there. So, anyways, so we were just talking about this before you jumped on. Actually, me and Jesse were. You guys have a very interesting distinction of being one of the last, maybe the last band that we know of to be on tour before COVID shut everything down. Did you finish that tour, or did you lose the last couple of days of it?
So we did, and what's really funny is we don't tour. Like
I was gonna say, I feel like that was one of, because I remember seeing you guys when we both played together at Facedown Fest, and like I remember you guys got a van out there. You were like everything good to go, and so I feel like that, and not to like make it even more painful, I guess, because I'm not sure how much of it you guys actually got to complete.
We did the whole thing.
Okay, because you guys weren't on the whole War of Ages, or who was it?
We were on a good leg of War of Ages and Conviction. So they came out to Facedown Fest and played like 2 or 3 shows on the way out, and we didn't hook up with them until after Facedown Fest.
That's what it was. Okay.
So we played about a little over a week with them. But yeah, I think when we left them, they went and played like El Paso the next day, and they were supposed to play like a couple dates after we left. And then they were hooking up with Disciple and like doing like some huge thing with them.
Yeah.
I think they only did 1 date after we left, and then everything got shut down.
Yeah.
But that was a different thing, man. Like it was crazy. I remember standing out in the parking lot of Club Red in Phoenix. And like, everybody was on their phones, and it was, on the news channels or whatever. And it was like, that was the day that like the NBA suspended the entire season, and like all the flights got shut down.
Yeah.
And my dad was in South Africa on a missions trip at the same time that we were out there. And so he was like, I don't even know if we're going to be able to get back in to the country. And I was like, man, should we just like pack it up and just like drive home?
Yeah.
But I remember that profound feeling of just like not knowing what to do. I barely made it out of California, actually, from Facedown Fest. I barely made it. It was like 3 days later, the flights got shut down. And
I remember like because so the way it worked for us was like we played Facedown Fest. We had that hangout the next day at the beach, and then Evan had to be back at work Monday morning, And so he flew out that evening and flew home. But the guy that had come along is like our drum and guitar tech, and one of our other crew members drove the van back from California and Michigan.
Yeah.
And our plan was just kind of take our time. Like I had used it as kind of a little mini road trip vacation for myself. Like we'll stop, see some sights. I love the western half of the country, that kind of a thing. So we took a few extra days, and I didn't get back until like the end of that following week. And I legit like we stayed in a couple hotels and everything, just minding our order and takeout, the whole deal. And get home, go to bed, wake up to like unpack everything the next day, and like all of a sudden it's like lockdown for the next 3 weeks. And unbeknownst to us, ended up being,
Can we ever come out of that?
No. Are we still in it? Is that still a thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy, I think, for all of it. I mean, we were all in a bit different spots, but like, and you guys too, at least you got to play some music from your record live.
Yeah, we still haven't played a single song from our album live. So what's that feel like?
Well, you know what? You need to ask Josh Waltman. So our lead guitar player. So
that's right. Yeah.
So the last show that we played was in September of 2019. After that show, we sat down to finish writing, and then go into the production recording of Taming Tongues, which we did that entire fall up to Christmas time.
When was it that we played with you guys in?
It was like a month before that. It was in August, 2019. Yeah.
So then, his wife. Oh, poor Josh. So Josh is a meticulous planner. Like he's the one that keeps us on schedule. Like, we must meet these deadlines, fellas.
Right.
So literally he plans his life out. So literally he planned to have the baby in March because we knew that Facedown Fest happened in the fall and like around October. And then when Jason told us in early January, hey, Facedown Fest is going to be in March, we were like, oh my gosh, like you can't plan it. And so then that's when, we went through this whole dilemma of, do we go ahead and release this, at Facedown Fest? And, I never really want to play music without those guys, ever. If it was something where like somebody decided to walk away, I think that we all would, and we may do music, separately, in different endeavors, but
just not as Dens.
No, you can't, man. It's just it's a four-way partnership. It's like one of those tug of war games, right? Where we're like all on the rope. And when somebody gets tired or is getting burnt out, the next person just swaps places in front and takes on some of the load for that season. But man, he hasn't played a show. We have not played a show together as Dens for a year and a half. It was
because you guys had a fill in on that tour.
Because we had a fill in on that tour. He couldn't go because of the baby. And but yeah, it was. I'm glad that we were able to do it. Blessed that we were able to do it. Being with War of Ages, being with you guys at Facedown Fest, something I'll never forget. And it just kind of made that entire thing just this timeless thing. It's just etched in our memories. We'll never forget that.
That's very true. I think like for us, and I know y'all had at least a few shows after that, but for us, like that's one of the things I've said it a couple of times before on these episodes when we've had some of our Facedown family on, and like as much as it sucks, and like I would have much rather have had us all like playing shows and touring or whatnot occasionally this past year, like I'm glad that was kind of it. Like, I know technically it wasn't like the last show for you guys, but like, I'm glad that was kind of like the big send off, like into this year of chaos, because I at least got to look back on like, man, like that was such being there together with everybody, like having Jason and Virginia and the whole crew there. Like it was so great. And like, I like that's like one of the few things, like getting to think about that and then look forward to like how sweet that's gonna be like once this thing is over. And I think it's I haven't heard anything yet, so we're not breaking any like news headlines or anything, but like I'm assuming there's a pretty big anniversary coming up next year for Facedown, so I'm hoping we'll be together again. And so it was a good cap to kind of leave on. But you're right, and I think you touched on one thing that I know we mentioned we wanted to talk about before this, was how much of a team you guys are outside of the studio. But also we were talking about how there's not every band writes together like you guys do either. Like a lot of it, like physically, like
a reason for that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. But like literally, like I remember when we first hung out too, you talking about how like you guys, I mean, you have that awesome studio in your house and it makes it really convenient, like, but you guys will literally get together and hash everything out and like bring parts together and sit there and work on them and throw ideas back and forth. Whereas I think a lot of people, especially in the age of technology we're in now, will just kind of be like, oh hey man, like emailed you over a little riff I wrote, let me know what you think, like, and just like bounce things back and forth that way, which is cool. But like has that been something you guys have always done? Is it just kind of seemed to work best for you guys?
So our typical, and we've been doing that bounce back and forth thing. The funny thing is like Josh Feldman. He's super smart, super intelligent, but he's one of these people. It's like the compartments in his brain, like he puts specific things in there, and like if he doesn't need to know it, he doesn't put it in there. And so like the tech stuff, like setting up like the audio, like a microphone at his house, like I took him a computer and I he did a lot of it himself. Yeah, I'm just joking on him. But
we're gonna have to have each of the separate individual members of Dens on to talk about this topic.
Oh, we haven't got to Brandon yet. We'll just wait for that one. But so we'll bounce files back and forth like that, just because he's the one that lives 2 hours away from us. But typically, like I was listening to some of the other episodes, Chris from Fall Star.
Yeah.
We're talking about like the voice memos and like that the doing the whole voice memo like secret track or something like that, and how like you said your wife, you don't want her to. I don't either.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, there's some bad stuff in there, but it's just like, dude, I relate so much to that, whispering stuff. I'll be out on a construction site or something, and I'm like, oh man, that, like I hum that in my head. I'm like, I got to run in my van real quick. I'm like whispering my phone. I'm like, and then I'm like trying to make out later, like, what was that melody?
Yeah.
But I do that. And, I'll jam some stuff on the guitar, get a little, kind of a little skeleton, framework together. And then, to do like get it all final. We sit down all together. We'll demo it apart, add our different parts in there, and then we'll listen to it together, refine it together. But the biggest thing that we do mostly all together is lyrics. I don't write the lyrics by myself at all. I write the melody. I feel I feel kind of good about doing that. But I don't do lyrics myself.
See, that seems even more overwhelming to me than the idea of writing the music together, because I was in a band before that had 4 members, and we didn't necessarily write the lyrics together, but there was sort of like a review process for the lyrics. And I remember like just coming and opening my notebook and just being like, and reading them or humming them along or singing them along, and just thinking like, just please let me get through this verse. And of course it'd be like, so what did you mean when you said this? So I don't know that I have heard, and I'm sure there's somebody else out there that does it, but I don't know if I've heard somebody talk about, and we definitely, we try to dive into the creative process on this show. I think this is the first time that we've had somebody say that the band actually writes lyrics together. What is that like? What does that look like from like a practical side?
So we have like, all right, so for Taming Tongues, right? We had that initial idea. And JT, and you know what? First of all, his name is Josh too. Two Joshes.
Right.
I'm the guy that always gives people nicknames. Like when I came to I went to private school for high school. But like when I got to that school, all those kids had been together since kindergarten. And there was this one kid there, his name was David. And I started calling him Dave. And his name changed to Dave. Everybody called him Dave. They had always called him for like 8 years, David, but I got there and just started calling him Dave. So like I just, JT for short. And then everybody starts calling him JT, like on the Facedown group and everything. Like
I'm also kind of offended now that we don't have nicknames.
Yeah.
We can work on that.
Right.
We can work on that. I mean, it'd probably be like Jess. Like I usually do like the short.
Yeah. Dave to David is like, yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's
like I usually do like the short stuff.
Right.
But yeah, but like everybody refers to him as JT now, and no one ever called him JT ever. I just did it because when I'm talking to you guys and I'm saying Josh and Josh.
Right.
Like,
yeah, that's a lot.
Josh JT,
Yeah.
Thomason. But yeah. So anyways, JT had the framework for Taming Tongues, had the whole, he's usually our visionary, like our concept guy. He's usually the one that's like forward thinking. Like I wanted to do this. I'm thinking this, and this. Josh Waltman is, he's working on his doctorate. He's got like 6 master's degrees. He's like but he's the coolest man. He's the coolest guy ever. He's written like a couple books, but he's just really good with words.
No big deal.
No big deal.
That's why he got to keep Josh, and other Josh had to change to JT, right? What's really funny is he wrote this like dictionary for Southern Virginia slang, like words that Southern Virginians use. Like he wrote like this dictionary called Southside slang or something like that. You got to send it to us the next time we come back, so we know how to. Okay.
So next time when there's the dead space in between songs and we play another show together, you're just going to be cringing,
right?
Evan's just
when I try to go to Cookout and try to order there, people are staring at me like, who is this Yankee that doesn't know how to talk?
Yeah. Yeah, you can totally use this.
Okay.
But he can't really write like to a melody. And so we've played in, most of us played in bands together before. Me, Josh, and JT all played in a band in college. And what I used to have Josh Waltman do was like, I'd get a couple papers that he wrote, right? Like he wrote them for some theology class or whatnot. And I would just like pick different little phrases and things out and stitch things together that made the idea flow. And it worked with the melody. So we do that. But literally, we went to our hideout in West Virginia, and we were just sitting there, and it was They. And They is a very personal song for us, just our interpersonal conflict.
Yeah.
Just, people saying stuff and then people not taking it the right way, and iMessage only makes that worse.
Yeah.
Because you don't get body language or any of that.
It's a very timely song for sure. Yeah.
But he sat there in the chair and we were just talking about the concept of the song and, what we wanted the idea of the chorus to be. And he just wrote out, don't say the same words like the last time. They don't mean the same to me. Don't assume my aim just like the last time. You might mistake what I mean. And he just wrote that whole thing out in about 5 minutes. Wow. And I was like, I sang it, did that little repeat. And I was like, I had the melody. I already had that melody, but I had no word for it. And I was like, here's the syllable count. Make something work there. And that's what he came back with. And that's what stuck. We butt heads a lot. But when it comes to the lyrics, man, the biggest thing is we're all mostly on the same page. We're not like vastly apart, right. And that just comes from, interpersonally, we're brothers. I don't have any siblings.
Okay.
I'm an only child. These guys are literally my children. These are their uncles. Yeah. They're my brothers, and I love them to death. And I think that we work well together.
Yeah, definitely. That's and I mean you can see that through Taming Tongues for sure. And so the idea then was already in place to have it sort of be, I don't want to call it a concept album, but with the titles going through and kind of giving the, I guess sort of what you would call the thesis statement for the album, sort of.
Sure.
That was in place first, and then you guys wrote from there.
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yep. We were just on the tail end of No Small Tempest. We were actually recording the music video for Dead Rise, and we took a break, went out to the beach, and we're sitting there. And that's when JT kind of pitched this idea for this next record. And I think that was like 2018. And, we started working on it from there. But yeah, we definitely, I know how like No Small Tempest was a concept, that was written around Jonah. So you were really, really confined within those chapters, like of Jonah, like what those songs were going to be. And so we wanted something that was like, it went to a central location, but it could kind of be loose, like Keep could be a love song, because our words are, vowels, things like that, keeping promises, all of that had to do with speech and the tongue and things like that. So I liked it that way, that it all was cohesive, and we brought it back to a main theme, but it could also be this kind of loose thing too.
Yeah. And I think people really identified with that. I mean, if you think about it, if you have that framework in place and you're talking about, these words that obviously are generic parts of speech, like they and are and things like that, you can go in a lot of different directions with that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like are, like what the heck are we going to do for are?
Yeah. Was that difficult trying to relate that back, or because it's almost like you have so many options. I mean, I personally, I don't think I've ever come up with a title for a song before I had at least the subject matter in mind. Sometimes the title comes sooner than other times. Sometimes you got a working title until Jason is literally like, guys, come on, I need this stuff. You send it to me. But
we had the working title long in advance.
Yeah. That's, I mean, and then you sort of wrote from there. Is that something you guys have ever done before, or was that kind of a brand new?
No, that was just brand new. That was just kind of how it happened. No Small Tempest was definitely not like that. We had the content first, and then we kind of named it from there. I kind of enjoyed having the titles. I kind of enjoyed because I didn't feel completely confined. Right. I mean, a lot of these words could kind of be whatever you really needed them to be. Foolish, right? We could, we're going to write about foolishness.
Right.
And you could just, there's different things that go along with that.
Like idea. Like you could write about how I hoard corn dogs in my closet, and my wife doesn't know about it. It's just, and I just pull one out as soon as she leaves for work. You just keep them. I just keep them. Yeah. I just keep them there. You could have written about that. You didn't. Maybe you didn't know about it until now.
You could ask Joe what he hoarded in our dorm room.
Oh no!
Are you gonna sell them out, or no? Okay, all right. We'll have to find that.
Another episode.
That man's got stories on me. No, we're good.
My wife literally just opened the door. He gave me a look like, what? There's what in your closet? Oh, that's great. Yeah, another thing that Jesse and I were talking about.
Though we do live by quite the important tour motto when pertaining to corn dogs.
Oh yeah.
So that is very relevant. That's probably why she thought you might be serious.
Right. Oh, NCLB. Are you talking about NCLB?
Yeah, NCLB.
Yeah. No corn dog left behind. So if you see one on a gas station roller grill, you have to buy it. Ethical responsibility to take it with you. No corn dog left.
My son came up to me last night, and he was like super distraught, and he was like, "Dad, I don't know what to do." I was like, "What are you talking about? What's going on?" And he was like, "All right, for lunch, Mom said we could have those little corn dogs, and then she said that she was gonna make me something else, but we could have it for dinner. But then she never made it for dinner."
Oh
like,
no!
Are you kidding me? Like, I was like, dude, first of all, we had Chick-fil-A, which is like 3 and 10 times better than flipping corn dog. I was like, dude, just go to bed. You can have them sometime tomorrow. I don't care. I'm not going to be here.
How old is your son?
He's 7.
Oh, that's a big deal to a 7-year-old. A promised an unrequited corn dog.
And they were corn dog bites.
Next time we come by y'all's house and visit, we're gonna bring a box of corn dogs.
Yeah, we'll show up with a box for sure.
Yeah, you'll be his new heroes. You'll be like, Den's who? American Arson.
So something else that Jesse and I were talking about before this was you guys obviously have the studio there. Are you in the control room right now? Is that where you're hanging out?
I am.
Okay, I thought I recognized the backdrop there from when we spent the night
right
there. Yeah. Sweet. So you guys have that dynamic. So where you track there and then did you send the stuff out to be mixed then? Is that how that worked?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. So what is that like then without like a producer involved? Yeah. Like
oh man, that's a great question. So we all kind of act as the producer, which is great. It's something that we've always talked about, and maybe we'll do that. I think that's probably, maybe if there is a missing link somewhere, the missing link, maybe next time we do a record, we get a producer to do it. It sucks. And then we can just blame that guy. Be like, hey, well, what we changed was we got a producer and that's why it sucks. I'm sorry, guys.
That's true.
We won't do that next time.
Right.
That's one benefit. The other thing I was kind of curious about is like I was telling him, and I was like, yeah, because I can think of a lot of times where like me and him were maybe like I was thinking like this bridge should end this way, or like we should end the song here, we shouldn't go back into the chorus, like whatever. And we were on different pages about that, and our producer Matt, who did this last record, would turn to us, or the guy who had done the previous EPs would turn to us and be like, you know what, no, trust me, it sounds best this way. He would either side with me or Evan, or have his own take on it, and he would be able to kind of be that
the tiebreaker, the tie-breaking vote, or that voice of reason of like, hey, no, guys, trust me, stop, like we got this. So I was curious of if like, is that something you think you guys not miss, I guess, per se, but like, do you see those kinds of discussions a lot and think that might be a benefit, or do you think it's a benefit to not have that person there because it might create more conflict for you guys?
Yeah, no. All right. So when we did From Small Seeds, we recorded that mostly here, but then I went to Nashville to do the vocals with Brandon, and we worked with Jason Belcher from what was the Ember Days.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys remember knew of the Ember Days.
My old band played with them.
Okay. So the song Hopebringer, right? We walked in, that was a song that we had from another band.
Okay.
We actually played that song live one time as Dens, and this guy like was just so mad at us for playing that song. And he was like, that's another band song. You ripped that off from them. And like, he was just going to town. So we're like, yo, dude. We are that band. We just changed our name. Like, we wrote that song. It belongs to us.
No.
But thank you for protecting.
Yeah. Thanks, man. You should be like
Mr. Copyright.
You should be like a patent attorney or something.
Yeah. But we went. I took that song to Nashville, and it didn't have like the chorus. And he was like, "Man, this song is really missing a chorus." And so I went back to the hotel room that night and wrote the chorus for that song. And I saw great value in that, and I do wonder sometimes there are things that we missed. I tried to take all of that knowledge from that experience, from the experience, with Matt Bayless, the first go around. Because what we did is we recorded it, sent it to him, and then got feedback from him.
Gotcha.
So he kind of did that role more in No Small Tempest than in Taming Tongues. I just kind of applied all of the notes from the first go around to Taming Tongues.
Okay.
And then he really didn't like give us any feedback. So I was like, I guess we're okay. But yeah, I do. I wonder if we missed that sometimes. But I was trying to look up the title for I got a songwriting book that we all kind of read, and it was this songwriting framework. And it really, really helped shape how we wrote Taming Tongues.
Okay.
It really in a big way, and it helped us really write those verses, choruses. You know, I'm a bridge guy. Like I write a bridge in like every freaking song. But you know, I read that book and it was like, you know, really the bridge should only be there when, you know, either it's this little turn in the song or you're really trying to like take, you know, it's really not something that you need to do in every song. And so we try not to do that. And just like how you write pre-choruses and, you know, that lift and they, right, where it's like, so sorry if I, you know, where it kind of lifts up there, you know, that was kind of an idea that was spawned from reading that book.
Cool.
So that really kind of helped. So all of those things.
I'm gonna go back and listen to the record again now with that in mind and try and pick out where I think Shaun was about to write a bridge here, but he didn't.
Yeah. Well, you know, something that was in that book that made a ton of sense to me was he uses the imagery of a song as like kind of like a house, and you're inviting people into this house and you're taking them room to room, you know, and this room is the verse, and this room's the chorus, and this room's, you know, the post-chorus or whatever. And you're trying to give people something that they, you know, somewhere that they can rest, somewhere they can sit down, somewhere that's like relatable to them, right? Like if every room or every song is like a middle school dance where like everyone just feels so awkward and stiff, you know, because you're not giving anybody anything to relate to in the song, then it's just going to be this awkward mess, you know.
What an analogy.
You know, and so I look at a song like R, and I was, you know, R, when we wrote it, I never thought R would be as popular as R was with people. You know, it's like one of everybody's favorite songs.
Yep.
I just wouldn't pick that. I wouldn't have guessed that. But when I look at it and I look at how we wrote it and I look at, you know, kind of what was in that book, I was like, man, that makes a ton of sense, because in each part of that song is just something that everyone can relate to. You bring them in and it's like, you know what, I can relate to feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders. I can relate to not feeling good enough, being afraid to fail, you know, and it's just one of those things, you know. I want to be consistent. You know, everybody wants to do that. Everybody, you know, nobody wants to be a hypocrite. And I see that now. And that was just super helpful in writing the record.
That's awesome. And I mean, in a way, when you're willing to do the kind of legwork that you guys have done, in terms of demoing, in terms of considering everybody's opinion and valuing everybody's opinion, not just trivially considering it, and, you know, reading together a songwriting book, in a way, you sort of, you've sort of created a producer. You've sort of created like an abstract producer, you know, because that, you know, those things are, you know, the job. I mean, I guess the stereotype about musicians or creatives in general would be, you know, the people with the ideas who don't necessarily always know how to execute them in the most effective manner, or in the manner that's going to be the most well received by other people. But when you have kind of considered a lot of those factors, you are doing a lot of the work that a producer would do. And maybe it would be interesting in the future to see, you know, what it would be like, even if it was just for some of the, you know, the little kind of tips and tricks and, you know, different sort of studio flair that they can add and stuff.
There was like a couple of those things where like, there was a couple songs we obviously had a lot more, and again I guess it would be a little different for us only having the couple members, but we obviously had a lot more production, like synth and like orchestral stuff on this past record than we did before. And so there were a couple times where Matt, our producer, was able to use his expertise. He had done the last couple, like Being as an Ocean records, and really like worked on that kind of side of things with them. And he was able to step in and say, we know we want there to be something here. Like we got to fill this out. Like we know we want there to be this big orchestral part, but like we didn't really necessarily, that wasn't our kind of area of expertise. We hadn't done that a lot before, and he was able to step in and like, oh, hold on, let me pull up this plugin, let me play this part on my keyboard real quick. All right, what do you think about this? And we would be like, oh, that's so sick. Like we would have never come up with that. Like, and so there's little things like that that I think I mean, at least for us, has helped. But I can also see too where there there's a benefit to having like you guys do, being able to sit in the room together, be able to hash things out together all the way through the process, and then to be able to, like you said, send things off and kind of get that feedback, that structural feedback on what you did. And it kind of makes me wonder, you know what, we got to swap creative methods for our next records. Like, you guys got to bring someone in, and then me and Evan got to try and go sit in a cabin somewhere and like write a whole record together.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna tell you what, if I wrote songs myself, they'd suck. I'm serious, man. Like, things are so much better in community, you know. Just the creative process is so much better in community. And man, that's just something I love about writing music. You know, I'm the kind of person that it's never good enough for me. Like my writing, I have tons of stuff that no one has ever heard, and they'll never hear it because it's crap. But you know, it's just me. Like, you know,
except for us, you're gonna show us next time we come over.
Yeah, I'll show you. Yeah. But I mean, you know, I'd record stuff all day long and it'd never see the light of day, you know. But like, you know, I've got a team of brothers behind me that were like, you know, okay, he's into it. Okay, you know, they like it, you know, and you know, they think it's good. I'm good with that.
Man, I don't know what I'd do if I tried to like. That is so true. If I tried to, you know, record drum parts or write a rhythm part for a song without like Evan and or our producer in the room with me, it would never get done. It would never get done. Nothing would ever be heard because I know Evan will be honest with me, even though drums aren't like his. If he doesn't like something, he's going to tell me like, I'm not feeling it. But I also know if both Evan and whoever the producer is are looking at me and being like, dude, because like you said, I very rarely like anything I do. Like at the end of it, I'm always like, I could have done something better. But dude, if I know they're both looking at me and they're both saying like, dude, no, that was sick. Trust me, you nailed it. I'm like, yeah, all right, like, good, we'll move on. Like,
I know there was one day on this record, tracking drums, that Brandon came in. He'd had a long day at work, and man, he was just not like, his brain wasn't there, and he wasn't like. He was getting frustrated. He was, you know, it was crap. And I stood up from the desk and I looked through the glass. I said, go home. Go home and we'll do this again later. I think him and I got into it a little bit on that, but you know, I was just like, hey man, you need to go, you need to rest, you know? And I think like calling each other out sometimes with that, you know, it helps. I know they call me out all the time on stuff.
Well, then you're right.
You change this one thing, right? And Josh, like, that changes my guitar part that I spent like 4 months writing and did 600 takes on. You're not changing it.
But I mean, that does come back to what you said about each of you kind of taking a role as a producer, and that's really cool. And I think, you know, that's something that in Jesse, in my experience, you know, to really get the most out of it, you really have to let the producer into that community. Like you said, that creativity is a community process. And if you're not willing to trust somebody and let them in, then it's not worth doing. And you guys should stick with what you're doing. You know, I think one of the, like Jesse was saying, with some of those orchestral and synthy kind of parts that we haven't done a ton of in the past, you know, one of the cool things I was able to do is, so our song, The Water Will Rise, I did all of the synths and strings and all that stuff for it and just kind of went crazy. And then when it was time to do The King Is Alive, I had kind of all these ideas that were inspired by that I wanted to go back and do. And I just didn't have the bandwidth or the energy. I had just poured everything that I had into doing that one. And I just left it completely blank. It was just the demo that the producer heard was, you know, drums and guitars and stuff like that. And that was it. But then just going back to him and saying like, see everything that I did on this song, like, this is what I'm looking for, but I just am so tapped out, like on lyrics and guitars and, you know, vocals and all those things that I just don't like, my brain is just not producing that right now. And so he was able to look at the framework that I kind of built out. And so if you listen to those two songs, while one of them obviously has sort of like a minor chord feel and the other one's more of like a major chord feel, you can hear some of the same orchestral elements. And those were kind of brought to the table by two completely different people. So it was just sort of having that faith in somebody to let them into the process, and become kind of part of our creative community for that album. And so, yeah, I guess I would just say if you guys going forward, if you don't find a person that you feel like you can do that with, then it's not worth it. And you should just keep it as it is, because you're all effectively serving as a producer. You know, when you're able to stand up and tell somebody like, hey man, you don't have it today. Like it's not your fault.
If it ain't broke.
Go home. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's really cool. And we've talked to a lot of people on this podcast about their creative process, both musicians and otherwise. And I think you guys definitely have shared the most collaborative approach that we've heard from anybody that we've spoken to so far.
Yeah. And we're already changing up our approach for the next project.
Cool.
You know, just a little bit. So,
well, and I know, we don't want to kind of blow the whole lid off of it, but do you want to give us maybe a little,
how do you want to tease?
Right. Yeah. What can you tell us about the upcoming project?
So, all right. So March 6th is the 1-year anniversary of Taming Tongues. Yep. And, you know, we still really love that album.
Something will be happening.
Yeah. Maybe. You know, so, you know, we were disappointed that, you know, we didn't, just like you guys, you know, we didn't get to, you know, do a bunch of shows, like plan that out. You know, we were looking forward, you know, to doing that, especially with Josh. You know, how timely and prophetic, you know, that was for 2020. You know, we didn't even like that, just like you guys in your record, you know, like you could have never like just expected what was going to happen.
No.
And, you know, what was going to happen in our society, in the world in general, and just how those things, you know, my default, when somebody asks me a question, you know, like controversial that I just like, don't want to comment on. It's like, hey man, even foolish men are wise when they learn to keep quiet. So that's all I have to say about that.
Well, it ended up being a great thesis statement for this year for sure. But yeah,
I'm telling you, you know, we believe in the message of that. And we believe that the message of that record, you know, really transcends even the medium of that record. You know, there's a lot of like rock yelling, you know, screaming, you know, things like that.
Yep.
But we really wanted to do something that kind of made that record a little more accessible for people, and made it a little more, you know, kind of stripped down, kind of stripped back, type deal. So, you know, we have an anniversary present for everybody, on and around March 6th. So just stay tuned for that.
This will probably come out a couple days ahead of time.
Yeah, I'm looking at the calendar right now.
So if you guys are listening to or watching this, you're gonna have like 1 or 2 days.
3 days. It looks like this will come out on Wednesday, March 3rd.
And then the 6th. So that Friday, then 4th, 5th. No, that Saturday. Yeah, Friday or Saturday, sometime that weekend.
Yeah. Go. You know what? Here's a good go.
You guys aren't doing anything with your weekends. Yeah. Whoever's listening, I know you're not doing anything. So roll out of bed, unplug your phone, and pull it back into bed and look at Den's social media.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, follow us, like us on Facebook, follow us there, follow Facedown, because they'll be a part of it too.
Yep.
Only half of us can go anywhere right now. So the other half of you legitimately have no excuse.
Right.
So all I'll say is, you know, we haven't done like put in a bunch of time doing like live stream stuff or anything like that, but we haven't been sitting on our hands for the last half of 2020. So we've been putting together a good content package for everyone to enjoy, laugh at.
Hot sauce.
Yeah, you know what? I've still not yet tried the hot sauce.
What? How is that possible?
I don't like spicy stuff that much.
Okay. Well,
here's the thing. I feel like you guys started something with that, and now you're gonna have to follow it up with every record. Like, people were so all over that hot sauce.
Yeah, could we get like maybe a nice Caesar dressing with the next album? Some sort of like
Dude, yeah, I'd like to talk Chick-fil-A into like doing a specialty sandwich or something like that. That'd be great. That'd make my life.
Yeah.
Like, I'd quit music. Seriously. I'd quit music for
just
that.
put the stamp.
I've always
call it complete. Call it complete at
I've
that
always
point.
said I would know I made it in the entertainment industry when Sean Evans asked me to be on Hot Ones, asked us to do an episode of the Hot Ones YouTube show that he does.
Oh,
I watch that all the time, just see these musicians and actors just sweating buckets trying to do an interview through these hot wings. I also, you know what, that makes me think, why hasn't he featured? We need to pitch him the Den's hot sauce.
Yeah, we really do.
For the show.
Yeah, just a couple of Sean's spicing it up.
I don't know about that, but
all right. Well,
it was really funny. Yeah,
yeah.
Taste it for the first time. Yeah.
It would be a good time. Yeah, dude, we should have thought of that.
Even be sitting in my garage.
I know we should have thought about that for this episode. But in lieu of that, since we don't have that for entertainment, as you know, anybody who listens to the show is aware, anytime that we have somebody on who has a musical background.
The 26 of you that listen to this show.
26. It was 23 last episode. Now we're up to 26. So anytime that we have anybody like that on, we like to sort of reminisce and pine for the days when live music will be back. And
pine.
Yes, pine. And
the tree pine.
We like to look forward, and the best way that we have found to do that is to look back on some crazy or funny or ridiculous or whatever it may be tour stories. Self-deprecating, yes, that's ones that we pulled out. So do you have anything for us, anything that can make us remember the glory days back when live music existed?
Yeah, I've got a couple things. So okay. I've been listening to the episodes.
Sweet.
And,
okay.
So
this is also your chance to tell us which one of your bandmates showered the least on your tour last.
Yeah.
Josh Tomlinson. Josh Tomlinson, far and away. The whole trip to West Virginia, like 6 days, he stayed in the same clothes. He never showered, and he was like, "I'm not going to take these off because like they're holding the smell in." And
he play in those clothes.
That's so crust punk up.
Yeah. I mean, he does all the time. Yeah, I mean, like when we were doing that writing the record thing, like he did not shower that entire time. And so I was like, hey, you know, maybe that's one of those things, like you said, you know, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
He's not allowed to shower.
If you get another Taming Tongues out of it, then yeah, don't change the thing. But
can't change it. But yeah, so I was thinking about a couple things. All right, so number one, I'm not allowed to book hotels anymore for anything. So we'll do this every once in a while.
No.
Like my wife usually goes with us. So she usually like is booking the Priceline stuff and is like finding the deals. And that's just, she does that. So I booked it one time and I was like, all right, it's a 2-star. Like it's cool. Like it ain't no big deal. It was an Econo Lodge in it was in York, Pennsylvania.
We know all about York, Pennsylvania. We have a friend that we've stayed there before. Actually,
sketchiest place in America. I'm serious. Like, you didn't think that was like you're not that far from the Amish. Like, how sketchy could York be? But then there it is.
Oh man, we got haircuts in York.
Oh my gosh.
We did.
I thought I was going to get scalped in York. Okay, that's what I thought. But we walk up to this Econo Lodge, and it's like midnight, and there's no one in the lobby. And then all of a sudden, the creepiest guy I've ever seen in my life just comes out from behind the desk, and he's like just like giving us like this deadpan look, and he just slides the keys across the desk. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Went up to the rooms, like there were literally. Like there was blood on the walls.
Whoa.
Like it was red. Like there was like, dude, like either somebody like sprayed V8 juice all over the wall or somebody
got hot sauce.
Yeah. We literally called another hotel next door and they were like, we have no rooms. The only one that we have has no furniture in it and it has no AC. And we were like, can we all fit in there? We were seriously considering doing it. So by that time, it was like 2 a.m. And we were like, all right, we're just going to go to bed. Literally, my wife and I slept on top of the sheets with all of our clothes on. And we're just like laying there it was awful.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, so I'm not allowed to book hotels anymore. Brandon has fallen off the stage before, not actually during like us playing, but like set up his drums. And it was one of those, a similar story to what Shane had mentioned about
going off the back of the stage.
It was one of those things where like Brandon was there and then he just disappeared. And I was like, where the heck did he go? But like Brandon's one of these guys that like will get hurt very easily. Like we were in softball practice for our church, which we don't do anymore. Probably for this reason. Yeah. It was the first practice we ever had. And he was playing first base and somebody like hit a foul ball down the first base line, a foul ground ball down the first base, and he dove for it. He trips over first base and he gets a hematoma on his leg. I had to take him to patient first, and we get to patient first, and like the whole thing, it like got infected or something. He had to have it lanced, and it was like grape jelly in there.
Oh, dude,
it was nasty. I was like, why did you do that?
This was a foul ground ball. Does he know the rules?
Ground ball in practice, Evan. It was in practice. Okay.
And we're like, talking about like slow pitch church league, right?
We're talking about like old guys in baseball or in softball. I'm just serious. Like, dude,
you gotta go 100% all the time.
Yeah, he goes 100% like on the wrong things. That's the cool thing about Brandon. Is like he's 100%, but it's like he just has to focus that 100%
on important stuff like NCLB, like no corn dog left behind. And he's like focus it on that.
We were doing bounces back and forth with Taming Tongues, and he was like, the snare does not have the right amount of ring that I'd like for it to have. And like I went back and forth with Matt Bayless for days on the ring of the snare drum. And I was like, I had to apologize to him after like the second day. I was like, Matt, this is not me. This is our drummer. Don't yell at me. This is our drummer.
Don't shoot the messenger.
It was like, dude, like, but it sounds great. I like it. I love it.
Right.
But it's like, dude, like
doesn't have the right amount of ring.
Yeah. Some of our stuff comes from church too. I remember we were leading worship and I was praying for like the invitation or something.
Yeah. For context real quick, you guys play, if I got it correct, you guys kind of essentially almost are the worship team or crew at your church, correct?
Yeah. So I'm the worship and media pastor at our church, and Brandon is on leadership there. He plays drums, so it's just the two of us. That are there from Dens. But I remember like I'm in the middle of this prayer. I'm like playing the guitar, and everybody's coming up on stage. Brandon steps up on the riser to his drums, literally trips, falls through his drum set. Like all the cymbals went everywhere. And he turns around and he gets up and he's just like, he looks at everybody. He's like, sorry guys, I'm sorry. And then he just sat down and cymballed his drums back together. Yeah.
That's something out of a movie, man.
Did you
during the quiet
pull that?
I was just like this. Like seriously, dude. Like,
did you continue on with the prayer? Did you just try to play it off?
I think I just stopped for a while, and he was like, "Sorry, everybody, I'm sorry." And then because everybody opened their eyes because they were like, is there a gunman in here? It's like, what was that?
Is there a marching band?
What the heck?
Is there a chimp with cymbals?
Where are all the people with the banners? I don't know. Yeah, the Holy Spirit got a hold of him. I don't know. We used to call him worship buys because he'd get into a song, like we'd be leading, and like we didn't play to tracks or anything way back in the day.
Yeah.
And we like be leading, and the dude would close his eyes and get into the song, but he'd never stop, and he'd never open his eyes. And like it wasn't until we were like through 6 choruses of How He Loves
So you're doing it like Hillsong
too
style, like 12-minute songs.
Yeah.
He like opens one eye and we're all just staring at him.
Like, dude, we've repeated the song 4 times now. Done 17 outros. We've done 47 bridges, which we know are your thing
he's
now.
He's like just wailing at it, and then he opens his eyes and he's like, da, da, da.
Yeah, we're winding it down. Okay, didn't know we were winding it down.
That's his new nickname. Next time I see him, I'm just gonna call him Worship Eyes from now on.
Worship Eyes, yeah.
Next time we see him, we got to get him on here so he can tell all the Shaun stories, because Shaun.
Yeah, we got to just do an individual member of Den's. Like,
I'll tell you. All right. So Josh Waltman's story was we stayed in this house one time after a show, and it was this big open room upstairs, and it got like. It was pretty warm up there, but like me and the other guys were really comfortable. Like I like it kind of warm.
Mm-hmm.
Waltman does not.
Okay.
And so he's like, I'm going to go sleep. I'm going to open the door to the porch on the other side of the room. And I'm going to just kind of sleep halfway outside. So he's in this is winter. He's in shorts, no shirt on. And he's just laid out on his deck. I kid you not. We woke up the next morning. It had snowed and he had snow all over his body. I was like, did you not wake up? Like he had snow on his chest.
He hadn't bothered to like move and brush it off.
No, like he got up and his like still his imprint was there. It was like a crime scene.
He's training for that show Alone, where they go out in the wilderness and they just got to stay there. And
oh my gosh,
that's great.
An embarrassing one for me was on the War of Ages tour. So I'm very vanilla. Like I don't do a lot of I only curse a couple times from stage.
Yeah, right.
Just a few times. No, but like I don't typically, I don't do that. Not that, whatever. It's just not my thing, right? It's just not my thing. So like I don't know what we were talking about, but I was there with all the guys from War of Ages, and I just said like the phrase, like that was so BA. And I said that like BA.
Yeah.
I said BA, right? And we know what that is. But all of those guys laughed at me. They were like, I haven't heard that since middle school. And I was like, well. So I was like, yeah, cool.
Well, you know what I meant. I mean,
like, junior, and like I'm older than some of those guys.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of embarrassing.
So now Brandon's Worship Eyes, and you're just Pastor Shaun. Because you're always going to abbreviate. You're always going to abbreviate the curse words.
Yeah, I'm Vanilla Hypes. That's what I am. I just came up with that.
What the S is going on here?
What the H? Yeah, HE double hockey sticks. Yeah,
I told you guys to get all the heckin' stuff out of this room.
Dude, I did want to tell you though. I do have one story. It's from working, not from the band.
Okay,
but it's just.
Okay,
so all stories are welcome here.
So stupid, crazy. So I do contract work for like Lowe's and Home Depot, like private contract work. So like I go into like customers' homes that like come in there and buy stuff and like install stuff. And man, like you think people are nuts like out in public, like just go to where they live, man. Like it literally has turned me, like I know Evan, you got a couple dogs, right?
Yeah. I got a big one and a little one.
Yeah, it has turned me off to animals. Like I feel sorry for my kids. Like they're like, can we get a dog? I'm like, no, because I know what dogs do, man. I've been in places and when you let the dog go, the dog just goes and you never get it back. Like, can we just get a fish? And I'm like, nah, like I've been in places, the fish tank was gross.
Yeah, it turned into
I smelled that thing. No.
Turned into the Kraken or something.
But I went to this house and literally it's not far. Like I work in like our metro area. So I mean, like I can be an hour from home at any given time. But this was just like right down the street from me. It was like it was a storm door, like on the front of your house, right? Like this little glass thing on the outside of the house. So I get to the house and the guy's like, first of all, he opens the door and he's got this, he looks like Bob Ross. All right. So imagine Bob Ross, literally, but with white hair. He's got a floral bib on all the way like this. All of a sudden, I kid you not, this little parakeet flies out of the corner and lands on his shoulder. It's at that point, I realized the bib is for when the bird craps on his shoulder. Like he has the bib on so the bird won't crap on his shirt.
No.
And I was like, dude, I would Dumb and Dumber that thing and just, put the ping pong ball on top, have all, Sparky over there in the corner. He don't need to fly and crap on my shoulder.
That's crazy.
We're not even to the good part. I was like, hey, where does this door go? Like front or back of the house? He's like, no, it goes inside. And I was like, you want a exterior storm door inside your house?
Yeah.
I was like, let me see where this goes. So I walk in there. He's like, I want it on the hallway. So it's like the wall, like a sheetrock wall comes.
Yeah.
Turns 90 degrees and goes down a hallway.
Okay.
There's no door opening there at all.
It's just an opening to a hallway.
It's just the opening to a hallway.
Right.
He's like, I want to mount it right here. I was like, dude, why in the heck do you want this door here? So I turn around and I realize like his whole living room is full of these aquariums with like different little reptiles. So different little snakes, turtles, things like that. He's like, yeah, I got a 16-foot boa constrictor that lives in that side of the house.
No.
He was like, he's gotten really big. So I'm just giving him that side of the house, but I want to be able to lock him in there. And I was like, dude, if that snake is in this house right now,
I'm out.
Like, we got problems. And I kid you not, he was like, no, he's at the vet. He's got a cold.
A cold. He's got the sniffles. He's been blowing his nose a lot. Or
I didn't know snakes could get cold.
No, so they're cold-blooded, so I didn't know that was.
I put the door up for him, man. I put the door up for him.
You did it.
And
did you have to do something like extra frame or something to even? I mean, how does this?
No, I told him, I was like, dude, this is just like screws into the sheetrock, man. Like that snake hits this door, you're dead.
Yeah.
Like you're a goner. He's gonna eat you. And he was like, no, it's fine. Just do it.
Oh,
whatever,
man.
Your funeral.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
I've been at places where like I opened the door and it was like two of those huge like greyhounds.
Yeah.
Like, and like my favorite line from people is, oh, they're just puppies.
Oh, yeah.
They're not puppies, man. They're like,
I know that line. I know that line because that's come out of my mouth because I have.
I'm like, dude, that's not a dog. That's a small horse.
Yeah, I know.
Just wait until you meet Evan's little Ralphie.
Yeah, I have a 140-pound Great Dane. So.
I mean, I'm fine with it. Like, I'm fine with it. It's no big deal. But it's like when they're like growling and snarling, and you're like, oh, it's just a puppy. Like, no, I'm sorry, they don't fly with me.
He wouldn't do that. He would just try to play with you. He thinks everybody's his friend.
Well,
so
then the lady was like, they're like motivational help dogs. Like we take them to hospitals. And I'm like, if you brought that dog into my hospital room and I just had my spleen cut out, I'd be like, Doc, just give me some Tylenol.
Just end it now.
I am motivated.
Hey, it's better than a 16-foot boa constrictor at that point, right? I mean,
dude,
okay, fair enough. If you had to pick, do you pick the bird, the boa constrictor, or the horse-sized dog?
Well, the bird will land on your shoulder, so.
I'll pick the bird, man.
Yeah, but it'll poop on you.
But I'll open the door and just let it go. That's just what I'll do. It's like, just fly away, man. Like, be free. Like, I believe in freedom.
Yeah, if it's summer, it's got a good 6 weeks, but other than that, it's probably
whatever. As soon as he's out of sight, out of mind, man.
That's great. Well,
he'll survive.
I think that is probably the most unique story that we've had on here yet. So maybe we need to start expanding our story time to we have a tour story and a day job story, because that was that one's gonna be hard to top. We're gonna have to go in search of one to top that one. But
until Den starts putting out platinum records and doesn't need the day job anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So
maybe we'll do snakes on t-shirts or something.
Right.
And we'll probably think we're like satanic.
Okay, so one last thing before we say goodbye.
Trust
for the
me,
night.
We already get enough with the fire on the American flag.
Yeah, seriously. Or the fact that us and everything in slow motion dared to mention getting a beer together. That was like, bring on the negative iTunes reviews at that point. But anyways, so as we say goodbye tonight, what can people do to be ready for this surprise, this anniversary surprise that we have coming? What should they do?
You can cuddle up in your bed, get your Taming Tongues hot sauce, and
a straw, or you just sip on it.
Yeah, I mean, Jesse, why don't you just like do the infomercial for it?
Right.
Just get like a suit jacket, a tie, and like your boxer shorts.
I think your fans would start to to run away.
I'm Jesse
quickly.
Gentry. You may know me from such bands as American Arson.
I'm saying it would be great. Yeah, as far as getting ready, I don't know, man. I'm self-deprecating. I never think anything's good enough, so I'd be like, don't get like your hopes too high.
No.
Well, we think you all had the record of the year last
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
so-
It was for me.
I don't know
It was
about
for me.
that.
So
I mean, look at who we were. I mean, no, look at who we were up against. I mean, and it wasn't like a competition. It wasn't, but just Deathbreaker, you guys, everything in promotion. Yeah, Weathered and Lightworker. I mean,
yeah,
dude,
Lightworker had a great one.
yeah. I mean, Weathered's album was phenomenal, man. Yeah. I mean, I kind of felt just left in the dust, man. But
Not at all.
Nah.
Not at all.
I'm just humbled to be a part of such an awesome family.
Same here.
You
Yeah,
know,
we
like
feel the same way.
seriously, like no one is in any competition with each other, and everyone is just out for everybody's good.
Yeah,
you know,
that's how we feel too. That's cool.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm jealous of you guys. Like you guys know Shane Oshner. Like Shane has no clue who I am.
No,
at
I
all.
That's not
guarantee you he promise.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I was like, when I met him at Facedown, I was like, that's Shane. He's like, John? No, it's Shaun. He's like, Bart? Okay, whatever you want to call me, Shane. You just call me that. That's fine. Yeah. Dude, he's such a good front man. He's actually
Worship-wise?
one of my favorite front men.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude,
he
I'm
kills
just-
it up there, man.
Yeah, I mean, he just commands the room, but
Yeah.
not like in like some arrogant way. But it's just like that guy's having fun.
Yep.
And it's catchy.
We got
man.
a rad label here, man. We got a cool thing going
We do.
on. So I'm excited for you guys to add to it with the mystery project that'll be out only a couple days
I don't know if we're
after
gonna
this. So.
add to it or take away from it, to be honest with you. So I'll preface it this way. We did a thing and we just went all in on the direction of that thing. That doesn't mean that that's the direction that Dens is going.
Right. Yeah. Before everybody has a aneurysm
attack.
about that. Yeah. No,
Right.
I think people will get it. I kind of know, and I think people will get it. So, well, by the time people hear this, they'll only have a couple days to wait, and then we'll all get to see what we're talking about, and I'm sure people are gonna love it. So,
Before we get off real quick, let everyone know where they can find you guys or you personally on social media or on the interwebs and all that, and we'll make sure to put all the links below the video.
Yeah. So I'm like a 70-year-old at heart. Like really, that's like all I have is Facebook. That's really it. I mean, like I think I have some other accounts like Twitter maybe, but like I don't do that. Like what is that? I don't know.
you're not
just-
missing much,
yeah.
man.
Right. And all I do is like just look at Facebook. Like I rarely comment on Facebook. But you can find all of Dens' stuff at Dens Noise. So it's not Dents, it's not Dennis, it's not Dan's, but it is Dens.
Dennis
Noise.
Noise.
There's a merch idea for you, a t-shirt with
Yeah.
all the different things that people call
That's
you.
what you said. You know how people like get their trailers, like they'll wrap it in something like Ed's Power Washing
Yep.
or something
Yeah,
like that. So literally down the street from me is this guy's company, Dan's Taxidermy. And I was like, we should do
You guys
that.
need to buy. Yeah, you need to buy
We
that
should
trailer.
do that. Because like no one's gonna be like, I want like a bear carcass.
Yeah,
I want a
yeah.
skull.
Yeah,
Like-
they're not. Probably. Yeah,
I mean, you
it's
don't
probably
know
better
if
than
you're
like
in-
a security camera system.
You
I'm
don't know
telling
if,
you,
if you're
yes.
in York, PA, you never know what.
Yeah,
what
yeah.
might-
you never know. That's
Stay
true.
out of York, and you'll be all right.
I'll walk out of the Econo Lodge at York PA and somebody will be like sleeping in like a bear carcass, like Bear Grylls or something.
To our friend Martin,
Mistake.
sorry we're bagging on your hometown in this one, but you know
Yeah.
just as well as
Sorry,
we do,
not
so.
sorry. Yeah.
All right, Shaun. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, and we'll be
Thanks,
we'll be
guys.
definitely looking forward to the surprise.
Save us some hot sauce.
Yeah, for sure.
I will if there's any left.
All right. Well, we'll catch you soon, man.
Thanks, brothers.
Thank you for listening to the American Arson podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave a positive comment or review. Connect with us online through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or Twitter, And check out AmericanArson.com for music, merch, and upcoming tour dates. We'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, stay inspired, stay positive, and keep creating.